not for me and for my team.
Welcome back to
Because
ZNGP Today.
we
Marc Márquez has rocketed to an unprecedented 512 points after Misano, breaking the single-season tally record and doing so with 6 rounds still to run. The Ducati Lenovo rider's scoring spree, a blend of wins, sprints and relentless consistency, has rewritten the record books and reshaped the championship narrative. Jorge Lorenzo dissected the personalities and evolution of MotoGP's top figures on Duralavita, drawing contrasts between Valentino Rossi's openness and Marc Márquez's quieter charisma. Lorenzo says Marquez has been learning, even borrowing communication tricks from Rossi, and that the Spaniard's more reserved response to past rivalries is helping him mature both on and off track. Davide Tardozzi, Ducati Lenovo team manager, reacted emotionally to the events at Misano where Marc Márquez recovered from a Saturday crash to win the Sunday Grand Prix. Tardozzi condemned the crowd's celebration of Márquez's sprint fall as disrespectful, and framed the race victory as the team's decisive, dignified reply, a win earned on track rather than in the stands. Yamaha will give Toprak Razgatlioglu extra track time before the official 2026 preseason test, a private shakedown intended to ease the two-time World SBK champion into MotoGP machinery. With his World SBK campaign ending in Jerez on October 19, Yamaha has lined up a controlled transition so Toprak arrives at Valencia better prepared for the M1. And crucially, the new V4 prototype the factory is pushing for 2026. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. After his Misano victory, Marquez sits on 512 points, eclipsing Jorge Martin's 2024 benchmark of 508. Achieving that total with half a season still to ride underlines just how dominant his 2025 campaign has been. The milestone arrived with 6 Grands Prix left on the calendar. Numbers don't lie, and these numbers have already made Marquez the highest-scoring rider in a single season in World Championship history. This isn't a fluke of a single hot streak. Marquez's tally is the outcome of repeated excellence across sprint and full Grand Prix formats, regular wins, few zeros and a habit of converting recovery weekends into points. He has combined outright pace with race management, scoring almost every time he has taken the grid. The combination of speed and consistency, especially across mixed formats, is what separates historic seasons from merely strong ones. Previous season-long high marks: Martin 508 in 2024, Bagnaia 467 in 2023, Marquez himself 420 in 2019, now look modest beside this total, although sprint races and a changed calendar complicate direct comparisons. Even so, passing 500 points is an extraordinary modern-era landmark. Records evolve with the sport, nonetheless. Reaching 512 with races to spare feels epical. Japan, Indonesia, Phillip Island, Thailand, Malaysia and Valencia remain circuits where Marquez can widen the margin or simply manage the title run-in. With a 9th World Championship in sight, the incentive to keep pushing is obvious. There is real scope for the total to climb still higher. Every additional point will further cement the season's standing in MotoGP history. Ducati benefits from the data and momentum generated by such dominance. Rivals must respond technically and strategically. For Marquez personally, the season amplifies a comeback narrative, from injury doubts to historic supremacy in red. The achievement elevates both rider and manufacturer, while raising fresh questions for competitors and rule makers about parity and spectacle. A record this large reshapes conversations about balance, development, and what counts as a competitive championship. Marc Márquez's 512 points are more than a number. They are the tidy summary of a season defined by near-perfect execution. With a handful of races left, the figure can still grow, but even as it stands, it marks 2025 as one of the most singular campaigns in MotoGP history. Lorenzo set the scene by comparing Rossi and Marquez, both charismatic and fiercely competitive, but very different socially. Rossi open and magnetic, Marquez more shy and inward. That contrast, Lorenzo argues, shapes how each influences fans and rivals. Valentino is very open and charismatic. Marc is charismatic too, but more shy. Personality matters in MotoGP. It colors public perception and can be a tactical asset in handling pressure. Lorenzo suggested Marquez has absorbed what worked for Rossi, notably a measured silence in the face of criticism, and that restraint is accelerating his growth. He likened Marc's composure to Messi's way of answering critics through performance rather than words. Marquez has copied what worked and incorporated it into his own communication tools. The silence he is showing now against Valentino is making him grow a lot. Silence can be a form of communication. For Marquez, it's turned into a weapon that channels focus into on-track results. On riding styles, Lorenzo singled out Marco Bezzecchi and Pecco Bagnaia as two of the boldest counterattackers, riders who fight back aggressively when passed by Marquez. He praised Bezzecchi's current fitness and suggested those duels keep the sport interesting. Bezzecchi is much fitter than Bagnaia. Bezzecchi and Bagnaia are the only ones who counterattack aggressively. Tactical aggression remains a defining trait for several challengers, even in a season dominated by Marquez. Lorenzo argued riders deserve support during bad runs, not blame. He stood openly with Bagnaia, acknowledging the Italian's talent and the inevitability of career slumps. For Lorenzo, patience and backing help restore confidence faster than criticism. Every rider has had a very bad year. I am on Pecco's side. He is having a great season. He has difficulties and results, but that does not mean he does not have immense talent. A champion's role includes empathy. Public support can be a crucial element in a teammate's recovery. Lorenzo rapped with a hierarchical take on current talent. He places Marquez at the top, with Jorge Martin close behind, then a cluster featuring Bagnaia, Alex Marquez and Bezzecchi. He praised Alex's quieter evolution into a highly capable, less flashy contender. Marc is the most talented, then Martin. After that Pecco, Alex and Bezzecchi. Such rankings reflect both raw ability and observed development, and they underline how quickly reputations can shift. Lorenzo's analysis blends tactical observation with human insight. Marquez's matured silence is deliberate learning, not timidity, and it's helping him grow. Meanwhile, riders like Bezzecchi and Bagnaia keep the on-track fights vivid, and the community's response, support over scorn, can be decisive in a racer's comeback. Lorenzo's verdict: evolution, empathy and quiet strength are as crucial as outright speed. Tardozzi made clear the win was the proper rebuttal to what he described as an inappropriate reaction from some fans after Marquez's sprint crash. He stressed that dignity and sporting values should prevail over applause for rivals' misfortune. I think winning here was essential to give a fair response to what we saw on Saturday. It was something that really bothered me. The point was less about revenge than restoring dignity, showing that results and conduct on the track are the sport's true answers. Marquez's decision to show his red suit to the crowd on the podium struck Tardozzi as a graceful, symbolic act that said more than words. For the team boss, that image closed the chapter on booing and shifted attention to achievement. He called Marc's gesture very symbolic, recognition enough without further comment. Small moments like that carry weight. They reframe narrative from noise to performance. Tardozzi spoke protectively about his rider and the wider Ducati crew, highlighting how deeply the Saturday reaction had hurt people in the paddock. He used the win to defend the team's honor and underline the unity behind the results. He found the booing unrepresentative of the sport, and proud of how the team responded. In high-pressure campaigns, leaders often transform frustration into motivation, and Tardozzi's public defense did exactly that. Pragmatic about the championship, Tardozzi shrugged off the question of where the title will be clinched. For him, the venue is secondary. What matters is that Ducati will celebrate the championship when it comes. Any scenario is beautiful when you win a world championship. The really important thing is that we will achieve it. That cautious optimism reflects a team comfortable with its momentum yet respectful of the work still to be done. While condemning disrespect, Tardozzi also acknowledged rival performances, singling out Bezzecchi's race, and urged fans to focus on the quality of competition. The Misano weekend, he said, was both a corrective and a celebration of top-level racing. He congratulated Bezzecchi and emphasized that action on track speaks loudest. By balancing defense and praise, Tardozzi aimed to cool tensions and refocus attention on the racing. Tardozzi's message at Misano blended protectiveness, pride and perspective. He refused to dignify the booing, letting Marquez's victory answer it instead, and made clear the team will savor the championship when it arrives. In Tardozzi's telling, respect and results remain the best replies to any critic. Yamaha isn't throwing Toprak straight into the deep end. The manufacturer has organized a bespoke test session so the Turkish rider can accumulate laps and familiarize himself with MotoGP ergonomics, electronics, and race procedures away from the pressure of a public test. Yamaha wants him comfortable before the official Valencia test so he can be useful from day one rather than overwhelmed. For a rider switching championships and machinery, private mileage is as valuable as any simulator work. The M1 will change radically for 2026 with a V4 engine, a major philosophical shift from Yamaha's inline-4 heritage. That makes early, hands-on time even more important. The V4's packaging, balance, and electronics behave differently to what Toprak saw in his limited previous MotoGP rides. Getting acclimatized to the V4's handling window now will shorten the learning curve next season. When an entire engine architecture changes, early rider input helps engineers prioritize development directions. Yamaha has not confirmed exact dates, but speculation points to a private shakedown in November. Reports suggest November 9th to 10th at Motorland Aragon, before the official Valencia tests on November 18th. That schedule neatly follows World SBK's Jerez finale, October 19th, allowing Toprak to finish his championship campaign before switching focus. The plan balances Toprak's superbike commitments with a clean handover to MotoGP duties. Fit the pieces right and the private session becomes a low-risk, high-reward bridge into the Pramac seat. Razgatlioglu has only had a couple of MotoGP outings, a rain-hit Aragon test in 2022 and a more useful Jerez run in 2023, so Yamaha prefers he racks up extra laps before joining full-time. For a World SBK star moving to prototype racing, familiarity with the M1's electronics, braking and cornering behavior is essential and best earned in private. Yamaha's project lead Paolo Pavizio is said to be a personal advocate for Toprak's switch, and the manufacturer will use its test hierarchy, including Augusto Fernandez, to prepare 4 V4 prototypes for the official Valencia shakedown. Toprak's private test would slot him into that development program with tailored feedback loops. Yamaha wants consistent rider impressions across its tester and factory riders so development decisions are clear. Early, aligned feedback reduces wasted effort and helps the V4 mature faster ahead of its 2026 rollout. Yamaha's private pretest for Toprak is a pragmatic, low-noise way to groom a World SBK champion for MotoGP's unique demands, and for a very different M1. If the logistics line up and the Turk completes meaningful laps, Yamaha will arrive at Valencia with one less unknown in its 2026 project and Toprak one step closer to hitting the ground running in MotoGP. Thanks for watching ZNGP Today, and this is your MotoGP news update. And see you next time!